Oh, I'm glad to be back. I'm glad you're back, and it's good to be with you again. For the next story out of the Jesus Storybook Bible. Last time we read this from this book, we read about David the Shepherd King and some of the songs and poems that he wrote. Now we're going to read a story called A Little Servant Girl and the Proud General. This is the story of the little slave girl and Naaman from 2 Kings 5 in the Bible. Naaman was a very important man in a very important army of a very important country. So you see, he was very, very, very important. But Naaman was sick. He had leprosy, which is a nasty thing that stops you from feeling anything. Bits of you fall off without you noticing, like bashed fingers and squished toes. It might sound kind of funny, but it wasn't. And Naaman certainly was not laughing. There was no cure. It never went away once you got it, and in the end it would kill you. Naaman needed help. Now there was a little slave girl who worked for Naaman, and she knew someone who could help him. But there was a problem. Naaman was her enemy. Not long before, Naaman had led an army raid on her home in Israel, that land of promise. He had killed her whole family and carried her off to Syria and made her into his slave. Every night she cried herself to sleep. She had lost everything. Why then would she, of all people, want to help Naaman? Didn't she hate him and want to hurt him back? Didn't she want to make him pay for the wrong he'd done? That's what you would expect. But instead of hating him, she loved him. Instead of hurting him back, she forgave him. So here we have a picture of Naaman with his skin looking funny because he has leprosy. And there the little girl looks like she's praying, who, even though she had reasons to hate Naaman, was ready to help him. I want Naaman to get well, she said to her mistress. There's a man in Israel called Elisha who can heal him. Naaman was told, and he said, I'll go, loading up his wagons and putting on his flashing armor. But I'll go to the palace because that's where someone important needs to go to get healed. So he hurried off to Israel and went straight to the king. My healing, please, he announced. I can do a lot of things, the king replied, but only God can heal. Certainly leprosy. Just then a message from Elisha arrived. Send Naaman here, it read. So Naaman hurried off to Elisha's house. But Elisha didn't even come out and greet him. He just sent a servant instead. Doesn't Elisha realize how important I am? Naaman thought. And so here are some pictures. The top one is of Naaman heading for the palace, talking to the king, and then instead going to the house where Elisha lived. But Elisha stayed inside. But what the servant of Elisha said next made him even crosser, even angrier. Wash in here, he said. Just wash? Naaman laughed. In that slimy, stinky river? He looked around to see if this was some kind of joke. It wasn't. Any person can wash in a river, he thought. I am Naaman. I am important. I should do something important so God will heal me. And he rode off in a rage. Of course, you and I both know that's not how God does things the way Naaman expects. All Naaman needed was nothing. It was the one thing Naaman didn't have. God knew that Naaman was even sicker on the inside than he was on the outside. Naaman was proud. He thought he didn't need God. His heart didn't work properly. It couldn't feel anything. It was almost like he had leprosy of his heart. You see, well, that's what it was. Naaman had leprosy of his heart. God was not only going to heal Naaman's skin, but he was going to heal him of his pride. So here we have a picture of Naaman in the vicinity of the river, the servant saying, just wash in there, and Naaman thinking about it and not liking the idea at all. Naaman finally agreed to wash in the river, and instantly his skin became smooth like a baby. See? It looks way better now. Instantly, in that muddy river. Naaman wanted to pay Elisha. God healed you. You can't pay, Elisha said. It's free. And so it was that a very sick man was healed, all because of a little servant girl who forgave him. God knew sin was like leprosy. It stopped his children's hearts from working properly, and in the end, it would kill them. If that kind of leprosy gets hold of your feelings, your heart feelings, then you die from feeling. You don't feel anymore, and then you die. Years later, God was going to send another servant to forgive as she did, to forgive all of God's children and heal the terrible sickness in their hearts, leprosy of the heart, we could call it. Their hearts were broken, not right, but God can mend broken hearts. Here we have a picture of Naaman trying to pay Elisha. And Elisha says, no, God's healing is free. Hard to understand, isn't it? But it is. And so, come to the end of another chapter. I'll put the bookmark in so we can find where we were. And I'm seeing that we're not even halfway in the book yet. We've got a few chapters to go. But until the time comes for the next chapter, I'll say so long and shalom and serenity till we meet again.